In the town of Okero, there was a well-known secondary school called Greenwood High. Among the students, one girl stood out, not because of her grades, but because of her hair. Her name was Rita. Every day, Rita came to school with a different hairstyle. On Monday, her hair was in long, black braids. On Tuesday, she wore golden cornrows. By Wednesday, she had short, curly hair. Thursday, it was in a sleek bun. Friday, she had thick, flowing dreadlocks. No one ever saw her go to a salon. She never asked for help, and yet, her hairstyles were always perfect. Too perfect. At first, the students admired her. "Wow, Rita! How do you change your hair so fast?" they would ask. She would only smile and say, "It's a secret." But soon, the admiration turned into whispers. Is she using JUJU? Maybe she has a spirit that does her hair at night. I once saw her with short hair in the morning, but by lunchtime, it was long again. Even the teachers were puzzled. One day, Madam Folek, the home economics teacher, pulled Rita aside. "Rita, I need to know the truth. How do you change your hair every day?" Rita only lowered her gaze and mumbled, "I just do." A night of horror. Rita had only one close friend, Titi. Unlike the others, Titi wasn't scared of her, but she was curious. One evening, she decided to visit Rita's house. She knocked on the door, but no one answered. However, she noticed that Rita's bedroom window was slightly open. The room was dark except for a dim, flickering candle. Titi's curiosity got the better of her. She quietly moved closer and peeked inside. Her heart nearly stopped. Inside the room, Rita was sitting in front of a large mirror, her head completely detached from her body. Her body was still, but her head rested in her lap. And worse, her own hands were braiding her hair at an unnatural speed, twisting and plaiting with inhuman precision. The worst part, her head was smiling. Titi clamped her hand over her mouth to stop herself from screaming, but her body was shaking so much that she accidentally hit the window frame. Rita's detached head snapped towards her direction, her eyes glowing red in the candlelight. "You shouldn't have seen this," the head whispered. Titi ran. She didn't care if her legs gave out, she just had to get away. She sprinted through the dark streets, nearly tripping over stones, her heart pounding like a drum. She didn't stop until she reached the house of her grandmother, Mama Sod, the oldest spiritual healer in the village. The truth about Rita. Mama Sod listened carefully as Titi, still shaking, described what she had seen. The old woman nodded gravely. "That girl is possessed by spirits of vanity," she said. "They have caused her to change her hair every night. If she stops, they will consume her soul." Titi gasped. "But why her?" she asked. Mama Sod sighed. "Long ago, there was a woman who was obsessed with her beauty. She never let anyone touch her hair except herself. She spent hours before the mirror, styling it. One day, she made a terrible mistake. She called upon the spirits of beauty to make her hair the best in the land. They granted her wish, but at a price. They possessed her, forcing her to style her hair every night. She could never rest, never stop. And when she died, the spirits continued to haunt others, passing from one girl to another." Titi's eyes widened. "So now, they have Rita." Mama Sod nodded. "But we can save her," she said. "The deliverance." The next day, Mama Sod, Titi, and some village elders went to Rita's house. They carried blessed water, charms, and a small mirror covered with white cloth. When they entered, they found Rita sitting on the floor, crying, her head once again in her hands. "Help me," she sobbed. "I don't want to do this anymore." The elders began chanting. Mama Sod sprinkled holy water around the room. Suddenly, the mirror in front of Rita began to glow, and shadows emerged from it, swirling like smoke. "She belongs to us," the spirits howled. Rita's body started shaking violently. Her detached head rolled onto the floor, eyes wide with terror. The spirits wrapped around her, trying to pull her into the mirror. But Mama Sod was prepared. She uncovered the small mirror she had brought, a sacred mirror blessed by the ancestors. The spirits screamed as their reflections appeared in it. "You have no power here," Mama Sod declared. The spirits howled one last time before they were sucked into the small mirror, vanishing forever. Rita collapsed. When she woke up, her hair was completely gone, her head shaved clean. She was free. From that day, Rita never changed her hair every night again. She went to school like a normal girl, no longer burdened by the spirits of vanity. Titi remained her best friend, and though the other students were still afraid of her for a while, they soon forgot and moved on. As for the haunted mirror, Mama Sod took it deep into the forest, where she buried it under a giant tree. And there it remained, hidden, waiting. But one day, someone else might find it. Years later. Many years passed after Rita's terrifying experience. She had grown into a confident young woman and left her past behind. No one spoke about the spirits anymore, and the town of Okaro moved on. But something dark still lurked beneath the surface. Deep in the forest, beneath an ancient tree, the cursed mirror remained buried, hidden, but never destroyed. Until one fateful day. The curious stranger. A group of construction workers arrived in Okaro to clear land for a new road. They worked tirelessly, cutting trees and digging the earth. One of the workers, Jide, was digging when his shovel hit something hard. Clank! He frowned and knelt down, brushing away the dirt. A mirror. Its glass was cracked, and its frame was covered in strange carvings. It looked ancient, mysterious. Jide picked it up and turned it over. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind rushed through the forest, though the sky was clear. A chill ran down his spine. His friend, turned, laughed. "Oga, why you dey fear ordinary mirror?" he teased. But Jide felt uneasy. The moment he looked into the glass, a shadow flickered behind him. And then, a whisper. "We are free." Jide gasped and dropped the mirror, his hands trembling. But it was too late. The nightmares began. That night, Jide had a terrible dream. He was standing in front of a large mirror, his reflection staring back at him. But something was wrong. His reflection smiled, a wide, eerie grin. Then, slowly, its head lifted off its shoulders and floated in the air. Jide tried to scream, but no sound came out. The reflection spoke. "You will help us find her." Jide woke up, sweating. He didn't understand what was happening. But the spirits did. They had returned. And they were looking for Rita. Back in the city, Rita was living a peaceful life. She had become a teacher at a new school and never spoke of the past. Until one morning. She woke up to find her old mirror sitting in the middle of her bedroom. Her heart stopped. She had thrown that mirror away years ago. How was it back? Then, she noticed something even worse. Her hair was already braided in a style she had never done. Her hands shook as she touched the mirror, and immediately, a voice whispered, "We are coming." Rita staggered back. She knew what this meant. The spirits were back, and they were after her again. Terrified, Rita packed her bags and returned to Okero. She had only one person who could help her, Mama Sod. But when she got to the village, she was met with terrible news. Mama Sod had disappeared. Titi, now a grown woman with children of her own, hugged Rita tightly. "You're back," Titi said. "And not a moment too soon." "What happened?" Rita asked. Titi sighed. "A few weeks ago, Mama Sod went into the forest alone. She said she had a bad feeling. She never came back." A chill ran down Rita's spine. The spirits had taken her. And now, they were coming for Rita next. The possession begins. That night, Rita stayed at Titi's house. At midnight, the whispers returned. "Rita, let us in." She bolted upright in bed. Her scalp tingled. She touched her hair and froze. Her hair was moving on its own. Strands twisted and coiled like living snakes, braiding themselves against her will. She grabbed a pair of scissors and snipped off a lock, but it grew back instantly. The spirits had already entered her body. Titi woke up to the sound of Rita crying. She rushed into the room and gasped. Rita was standing in front of a mirror, her eyes glowing red. And in her hands, her own detached head. Titi screamed. The spirits had possessed Rita again. Titi knew she couldn't handle this alone. She gathered the village elders and the new priest, Father Chidiok. "We must perform the cleansing ritual," the priest said, "before Rita is lost forever." They took Rita to the same forest where the cursed mirror had been buried. They lit candles, drew protective symbols on the ground, and began to chant. But the spirits were angry. The wind roared through the trees. The ground trembled. Shadows rose from the mirror, twisting into monstrous shapes. "She belongs to us," the spirits shrieked. The villagers held hands and prayed louder. The shadows lunged at them, but an invisible force held them back. Then, Rita did something unexpected. She grabbed the mirror. The spirit screamed as cracks spread across the glass. Rita threw it to the ground, shattering it into 1,000 pieces. A blinding light filled the forest. The spirits let out a final, ear-piercing shriek before vanishing into the night. And just like that, the curse was broken. Rita collapsed, exhausted. When she woke up, she felt light. Her hair was short, natural, and untouched. She was finally free. The villagers gathered around her, cheering. "You did it," Titi whispered, hugging her. The forest fell silent. The evil was gone. Or so they thought. As the villagers left, no one noticed a single, unbroken shard of the mirror lying beneath the leaves. And in its reflection, a shadow flickered.